Okay, so today we all saw something that I don't think any of us expected to see this soon, a teaser trailer for Assassin's Creed 4. Now, Assassin's Creed 3 only came out last year, just in time for Christmas. I know people who haven't even played it yet, let alone completed it, and I've only recently completed it myself, and that's only because I had to review it. It's not a short game, and I think there's a lot of people who still haven't even bought it and played it yet. So, is it too soon for another Assassin's Creed? Well, I don't think it is. If you think about it, Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood and Revelations came out within a year of each other, but they were making significant gameplay improvements. And Assassin's Creed 3 only came out a year after Revelations, but that again was not only significantly improved, but also technologically and epically improved as well. That's mainly because Ubisoft have more than one team working on a game at one time. So for instance, Watch Dogs has been in development for at least 3 years now, despite the fact it's going to come out at the end of this year or possibly the beginning of next year, depending on whether it gets pushed back or not. That means that we don't have to worry about Assassin's Creed 4 being a rushed out title to milk the series, as some people have been saying. We can be confident that it's going to be a full game and that it's more than likely going to be pretty good. Obviously we need to see a bit more. We've only seen one trailer and a few screenshots. Now Blackbeard's little monologue does make us quite excited to play as the character and to play the game, and that brings me neatly onto the second point, which is the fact that Blackbeard calls the main character Captain Edward Kenway. Now this means he must be an ancestor of Connor and Haytham. Now notice how I say ancestor, not descendant. The game seems to be set during the pirate era, possibly in the Caribbean, which is definitely before the American Revolutionary War and all that sort of stuff, all the events of Assassin's Creed 3. So I'm guessing it's a descendant of Haytham and not descendant of Connor, although it's technically the same thing. And this begs the question, why have Ubisoft decided to go back in time? Did they just want to do a pirate story and decide to kind of tie it in? Also, without giving too much away for those who haven't finished Assassin's Creed 3 yet, at the end of Assassin's Creed 3, there are some serious questions of where the series is going to go, and it appears that Ubisoft have just gone, oh, it's going to go here, and there's going to be another Kenway in it. And it makes sense with the story, because it doesn't need to be, you know, a descendant of Connor or a descendant of Haytham. It's definitely an ancestor. It's definitely maybe Haytham's dad or maybe his grandfather. I'm not quite sure of this. So maybe someone can work it out. Comment in the bottom, work out when the piratey era was, and compare that with the American Revolutionary War era, and then work out what ancestor it must be, whether it's his father, his grandfather, his great-grandfather, or whatever. But either way, it's interesting that Ubisoft have decided to stay with the Kenway line, considering that's also Desmond's line, which for those who finished the third game will raise some very interesting questions. Also, from the looks of the trailer, Edward Kenway is a bit of a dick. I mean, near the end of the trailer, he just shanks a guy just to rob his woman. Now, there's three possible explanations for this. Number one, he actually is a bit of an arse. I mean, if you look at Ezio from one angle, he's a bit of a cheeky, womanising prick. Although you love him because he's kind of like a lovable rogue. So maybe Edward Kenway is a bit of a knob, and that's just his character. The second thing is that he's a little bit of a knob, but not really, and obviously the trailer is trying to portray just a snapshot of who he is, and they decided to go with the whole traditional pirate thing, rather than go with the kind of moral assassin thing. Or three, it's just a front. That's just how he acts, because he needs to be in with the pirates in order to make his assassinating easier, or in order to facilitate his assassinating, and that's just how he acts. He just acts like that because that's what's expected of him as a pirate captain. Also, the fact that he's a bit of a pirate does lead to questions about his morality. Is he going to be a full-on pirate? Like, you know, pillaging, raping, murdering and assassinating in between that, although how that will go with the kind of Assassin's Creed remains to be seen. Or does he again appear to be a bit piratey, like, you know, pillaging and stuff, but actually he's pillaging Templars and he's still fighting Templars? Or is it not really as piratey as it appears, and they just wanted to make the trailer exciting just to make it look different from Assassin's Creed 3, and in fact in gameplay the piratey bit is just a kind of like an underpinning plot line, and the main plot line deals with this whole Assassin and Templars thing. But I don't know, I think maybe the Assassin and Templars thing, as clean cut as it used to be, is getting a little bit thin now. I think they need to do something more with it to keep people interested, especially after Assassin's Creed 3, where there's a few questions raised, and the ending certainly raises some questions, as I said, so there really does need to be something new about it, and maybe this pirate angle's the way to go. The thing I'm the most excited about is the fact that they are willing to bring out another Assassin's Creed game so soon, and that they've taken it away from the traditional, you know, city story of establishment. You know, here's a character, here's them growing up, here's their sort of origin story. It seems that the fact that the Blackbeard's talking about Captain Edward Kenway means that he seems to be already a legend when we meet him. Obviously there might be some sort of backstory to him, and I hope that they do flesh him out, but it means that we're going to have a slightly different kind of Assassin's Creed story this time. Obviously we're going to have to stay tuned for some more content, whether it be a trailer or a bit of gameplay, maybe an interview, some info released from Ubisoft, something more to sink our teeth into other than just this trailer. But we can see that they've taken a lot of care over it, and I for one am very excited. I also don't think we have to worry about things like Watch Dogs, because we've seen Watch Dogs gameplay and it looks awesome, and more than likely it's a completely different team developing Watch Dogs. Just before I go, I wanted to address a worry that some people may have with a little bit at the end of the video where it says will also be released on next-gen consoles. Now there was a lot of worry about this, like when the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 came out, people were worried that games that were being mainly produced for the PS2 and the Xbox, but also being released on the PS3 and Xbox 360, were going to be the kind of like the gimped versions. They were going to have less gameplay or less features and, you know, or stuff like that, simply because they were also being developed for the next gen. I don't personally think Ubisoft are going to do that. I think they've said before, I remember Alex Hutchinson saying in one interview that I've read that they still feel there's a lot of power in the current gen, in the PS3 and the 360, and that they've got more life in them. I think that the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions, the current gen versions, are going to be the base game. They're going to be kind of the base experience. Then the 720 or whatever it's going to be called, and the PS4 versions are going to be enhanced. So obviously they'll have better graphics, smoother animations, probably a couple more features. The graphic kind of pop-in won't be as bad maybe, like there'll be much more smoother transitions between areas and things like that. The sort of advantages we saw leaping from the last generation to the current generation. And also the PS4, as it was revealed not long ago, has a touchpad on the controller and also a little light on the back which works with the depth perception camera, so obviously they're going to be included, although I'm not sure whether it'll be more than just a couple of gimmicks, considering the fact it's also going to be coming out on the 720, which means that any sort of touchpad or camera thing will have to be kind of an addition. It can't be a key point of the game, because the 720 is likely not going to have a touchpad or a little light on the back of its controller, although we don't know yet because Microsoft really haven't revealed anything about it. So yeah, thanks for watching and stay tuned to the channel for more information as we get it.